Welcome to the Tukatalks show, where Tukatech founder Ram Sareen talks to fellow fashion industry experts about the trending topics of today, the history of the apparel business, and the paradigm shifts that will transform the industry for the future.
Fit. If it doesn't fit, it doesn't sell. Greetings from Tukatalks. And I'm very fortunate to have a very interesting person who shares the same values, same understanding about the fit. Renee, welcome to Tukatalks. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, thank you, Ram. I was born into apparel retail in my family's business on Labor Day. So I've been working in retail apparel for many, many years. So I started off officially in industry, assistant tech designer, Macy's, and then for the next, I don't know how many years, I worked for many big designers, hands-on. I worked in production, tech, fit, and this is before we really offset everything offshore. So I believe that I'm of the generation. I'm just so appreciative of my generation in this industry because I had the lessons and opportunities to learn from the Guido DeVitos, the old school Italian Jewish pattern makers and tailors on 7th Avenue, literally right next to them, and learned all about quality. I worked for a lot of designers and then corporate, a good chunk of time at Ann Taylor, which at the time was a startup, really, Ann Taylor Global Sourcing. Then I left and went to Macy's in the same capacity, heading up large teams of tech designers. Fast forward to 2004-ish, my then 6-year-old son, who will be 25 tomorrow, and he prompted me to start my own business. It's a really cool story, and I didn't even appreciate it at the time, but 2 weeks later, I quit my corporate jobs, one being for Land's End, and I was teaching full-time at FIT. And then Raise the Bar was started. And that's literally 19 years ago this month or last month. I've also been more so working in the front end with the brands, in the development, fit, whatever, and the supply chains, what have you, not just on the interface to buy in the stores and online.
So, Renee, I understand you're a graduate of FIT. The session today is FIT, no pun intended, FIT and Fashion Institute of Technology, New York, are two different things. Your passion for fit was oozing in so many of your posts in LinkedIn that I was intrigued to sit down and have a conversation with you on fit, your take on fit. My mantra has been fashion is fit. If it doesn't fit, it doesn't sell. As you mentioned, you grew up in the fashion industry in a way, but more closely in the retail side. That means your exposure to customers, their bodies, their measurements, and their fit, their buying and not buying. Why not buying? Is it because of the garment or the product was not good? But if they took it in the fitting room, that means they must have liked it on the hanger or on the display. But what happened from the time they took it into the fitting room to the cashier's desk? The reason most of the times is because it didn't fit right. We all understand fit is a very, very crucial element in developing a product. I'm very impressed with your background working with so many retailers and so many brands over the years. Tell me something. What is your take on vanity sizing? Somebody calls it small, medium, large, extra small, extra small. Somebody starts with 2, 4, 6, 8. Somebody starts with 0. Some of the junior sizing goes to 0, 0. I mean, this has gone totally out of control over the years. What is your view? Did that help or did that hurt the brand?
Vanity sizing is just one part of the big, huge problem. To try to put it in summary, as I've shared in another article prior, Dare to Fit, is that the brands in general are not fitting today's consumer. And since the late 80s, early 90s, we, the industry, have been fitting on and for a consumer that is now the minority. How did we get to the fit models that we have? Our fit models were showroom models that we were like, hey, can you come in the back room and try this on? And back in the day, they did kind of really emulate the population, but not today. The industry has taken that fit model from back in the day and made her the standard without really necessarily, and I'm guilty of this too, being a leader of fit and sizing, not really saying like, wait a second, does she match the population? And she doesn't. So we've been fitting on taller, leaner people and delivering so many products to that. And then throughout the years, we've been talking about like, hey, the consumer's changing. She's bigger, she's larger, she's shorter, she's different than what we've been fitting and serving, but we haven't really done the greatest job on actioning that. So instead, brands have been applying all these different or trying to get into these different markets, right? So they see like, oh, there's huge opportunity in today's population, but they don't know how to serve her, fit her, okay? And then 2, the way they've been going about it has been in a kind of a Band-Aid way. And I hate to say it because I was part of this. Like I've been serving my beloved industry, giving them what they've asked for, which is like, for example, extended sizes, plus size, mid size, vanity size, whatever. So at the end of the day, today, we have so many labels in women's, for example, that it's so confusing. It's so confusing to the brand, to the consumers, the supply chain, So
that's exactly what my point is, that we are moving towards what we call direct to consumer, e-commerce.
Yeah.
But we don't know the body, the measurements, the shape of the consumer because we don't have enough data. I'm an engineer by profession and I like to analyze things. It's part of the training, I guess. And since you've been in the retail side and on the purchasing side also, you may have noticed if it is a 5 sizes in the size range, always a sample size sold most. If it is small, medium, large, extra large, extra large, the medium would be the highest quantity. So somebody would be ordering 1, 2, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
So 1, 1 is the extreme sizes, and the sweet zone was the sample size and a size 1 up and 1 down, which was still within the zone. These extremely non-fitting garments were always on the racks for clearance. They fit nobody and eventually went into the garbage if nobody picked it up, even after 50% off.
The grading practices that are inbred in our industry for literally 20 years globally are still antiquated, and they make assumptions that don't fit today's consumer. One is that it assumes that as you gain weight, that you gain height, and we don't. That's probably, in my opinion, the biggest disconnect, is that we're still grading height, even though I'm a girl of height and I want that, but it's not personal. We're still grading height, and the average woman today is not here. So fast forward a couple of years, and a legacy brand wants to get into the middle size or the plus, and they think it's cheaper to just take that size 2, 4, 6, right? That 5'7", 2, 4, 6, and grade her up to the population, which is in the middle. The 70% of the population, it all depends on how you do the math, but 70% of the population is in the middle of legacy Missy and plus. Okay. And we're not doing a great job at serving her, because we're taking the Missy and grading her up, which we know I've done all these studies and fit focus groups and initiatives. Like, it's proven to me 10 times over, it doesn't fit. And then we take the plus and grade it down. So
your issue is grading, and I agree with you. Unlike you, I have on the reverse side challenge. I'm short. I'm 5 feet 4 inches. I'm 5 feet 4 inches tall. 25 years ago, I used to wear a size small. Today, I wear a size large. My problem is, although my body has changed from small to large, it has not changed the height.
Right.
My height is still the same. So
Right.
My sleeves are longer, my garment length are longer. Nobody really crystallized to understand what the consumer sizing is. When you look at big retailers, they are not concerned very much on the body shapes and measurements. They want to get approximate sizing. But when you go to brands, they are very focused on who my customer is. And they will work very hard to make sure that their grading is good, because that starts with point of sale analysis, and their body shapes are correctly synchronized with the product development people. I did a project for a company, for a retailer, who was catering to newborn, to babies, to mommies, to grandmas, all same styling, same fabric, same print. And we developed for them the grade rules, where you could just make one sample, apply those grade rules, and will fit the newborn to grandmother. Considerations of what happens to the toddlers, what happens to the young people, the older people, and where the dots, where the fullness, and so on. All that can be controlled from grading.
You just commented about, the construction. That's another thing that we don't understand in industry, which has been a problem, is, the size 2, 4, 6 skinny girl, if you will, to duplicate that style for her, to what you're saying, from what I'm getting, in a size X, Y, and Z out here, she needs construction. She needs darts. She needs pleats. She needs seams, something. And the legacy mindset and practice has been like, oh no, we don't want darts in that. It's like, hello, the size 14 girl needs, she needs darts and she needs seams. And she doesn't really care if her little sister's down here in size 2 doesn't have darts. She just wants to put that style on, that dress, and fit and feel like her little sisters, her big sisters, whatever.
There are too many obstacles, too many people who really do not understand the ramifications. They look at the end result. Too many returns is a problem. They understand fit is a problem. They understand a lot of things, but they don't know how to fix it. In the old days, even the retailers, which were discount retailers, only fitted on a human body. Why? Because human body not only had the undercuts, but the fit model gave the feedback. It is tight in the rise. It is cutting in here. It is not flexible enough for me to be able to move my arms up and down. I'm not getting any of that feedback. We created dummies when we started outsourcing because what we wanted was fitted on the replica of my fit model. And we all know TC Square did a study and they found that fitting on the dummies actually increased the number of iterations. It was 5.5 samples per style average, according to Dr. Mike Frelix. Now, what was happening? It was cloth covered. If I put it up here, put it up here, put it up here, it will stick to the cloth. And then I take a picture and I send it. They say, yeah, send it. Now I put it on my fit model and it drapes on the human body the way naturally would. And it didn't fit that. The brand did not have the dummy and the vendor did not have the fit model. The bottom line is the garment could not be started for production till the fit people approved the fit on the fit model's body.
Right.
So what was our challenge? We wanted to fit on a fit model. We took the same dummies and put them in the 3D. So now the designers are putting it onto the 3D dummy that goes to the vendor and say, okay, make it. The poor vendor is taking that ill-fitting pattern to make the sample. The designers are out of the picture already on the next game, but now the other team comes in for doing the fit, and they say, this doesn't fit. Where did we gain? If we did not gain, why did we go deeper in this one? Why is it that it's frustrating. It's frustrating.
I am as frustrated as you are, especially now, because I just want to get back to fixing it and just to decomplexify the whole fit and sizing thing. I want to see people like us partnering and getting in the huddle with the C-suite to help them.
I'm really, literally open to challenge the designers of today. Only if every designer can actually make a pattern, cut a garment, sew a garment, should be a designer. If they don't know how to do that, and the colleges and schools have done a terrible job, FIT stopped teaching pattern making.
I know.
Why? Why? Because we needed more technical designers. What's the point of having a technical designer who doesn't know how the garment is constructed, how the garment should be constructed? What will this seam versus that seam will do? Listen, I think it was 98 or 99, there was an article in New York Times. It said $94,000 later. That was the headlines. $94,000 later, because that's what it costs to get a degree in fashion. And you have two choices. One, go back to daddy and say, I want to have my own brand. Can you please invest? Or go back to your hometown and start flipping hamburgers because you've learned nothing. and it was brought in California Fashion Association's meeting because everybody understood that we need more good pattern makers because it starts from patterns. The oxygen room of this industry is patterns. If you don't know patterns, get out of this industry. If you don't know cooking, get out of the kitchen. That's where everything starts. Now, seriously, the problem created by some leaders in our industry, the C-suite, who did not understand that fit and sampling and development happens to be the key in our business. We cannot outsource that. By shutting down the entire product development area so that we can have instructions sent, you mean to tell me that the vendor who's working with brand A, B, C, D, E, F, and G understands everybody's fit?
I think what we're trying to say is like a big, huge ask of the industry, of the C-suite, to stop and pause, not freeze. Freezing is not a good thing. Let's rethink everything. Let's rethink everything. It doesn't have to be complicated, but just stop doing the same old, same old. I mean, I just came across a physical flyer from 2005 that Robin Lewis designed with the AAFA, NRF, and FIT back in 2005, essentially to embrace size 14 for women's. 2005, and we still haven't done that yet, And then I found another article from 10 years ago quoting the same data of 77% of returns are based in fit 10 years ago.
The challenge here you've mentioned is the awareness. The C-suite, as you mentioned, they need to be brought to reality. You cannot be making large quantities with made-up sizes, made-up measurements that nobody fits in. Those garments may go out to the customer, but will come back to you, and then you will have to do something like dumping into the landfills or get rid of them to somewhere else. It's like take the monkey off my back to your back, to your back, to your back.
Right.
That nonsense has to stop. We have to stop overproducing. We have to stop gambling with people's body sizes. We have to stop gambling with the dollar signs because it's artificial profits when we look at, let me get cheaper by making it larger quantity. What am I going to do with the larger quantity?
Right.
Look, Wall Street works with numbers, dollars. They don't work with how many units did you sell. It's a very simple math. If I sold something for $1 and I sold 100 units and that was my total sale for $100, and next year if I decide I want to offer a little cheaper at 90 cents, I have to sell 111 garments to be able to do my $100 for Wall Street. And we kept doing this by squeezing the vendors, by reducing the selling price. 5 years later, I have to do 170 garments sale to make my $100. Where am I going to find those customers? The idea is not to make something and then hope somebody will come and buy it. But the idea is to find out, what do they need?
So I just want to jump in on that. Is like, we have to stop squeezing the vendors. The vendors have been squozen and they can't turn anything any faster or more efficiently and for the best price. I want to turn the mirror back on the front end of the brands, not just the costing and the process, but the timing, the PLC. Like, why do we still need freaking, 9 to 12 months to develop and approve the same old? It's because we haven't changed the constraints. We need to change the constraints in the front end. I want all brands to rethink and do some homework on who they think or want their consumer to be, right? And then relook at their base fit practices, their base fit model, mannequins, and then their grading.
If you were starting up right now a new business, who would you hire as far as your design and development team?
I'm all about aligning on the table talent, fit, tech, technology, grading, whatever, with the junior kids, that are gamers and they can click, and they're but they don't know on the table pattern making. They don't know how to assess fit. Bringing the veterans with the juniors, like an old school apprenticeship, like that to me is like the game changer. Organizationally, everyone in the organization truly being partners and with an owner's mindset. Like that's what my dad always, taught us, is like, if it was your money, spending the money on the sample, is this really what I would do? Like, would I ask for another sample, and put it on air delivery because someone else is pressuring me?
I am old enough to know what worked. What worked was made to order. My tailor had the fabric inventory. I would walk up and they'll measure my body and adjust for the style. I choose a fabric, color, whatever, and I style it with help from the tailor. Maybe I want this kind of pocket and so on. But the garment was made for me. No wastage, none whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think we're going to go back to that.
That's what we
But with
need.
technology.
Yeah, we need to go back. We need to go back.
There is no answer. There is no answer in the fashion business. We will make more margin, less wastage, less markdown. So whoever is trying to sell a $99 product, the same product made locally can be sold for $69 with a great profit. And we've shown that. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't think there's any magic that's going to happen for somebody to come on with the data and say, we understand how the human bodies are growing. We understand the categories. That shit ain't going to happen. We're going to work with individuals or few people within the same category. But at the same time, if we are looking at making basic products, hoodies, which is 6 inches plus minus is okay in certain areas, I pull it. I am not going to be making that on order. I'm going to have that as a stock, okay? Renee, I really appreciate your input, and hopefully we've created a spark for the fashion brands to start looking at fit is where the profit is going to be.
Yes, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for you and for our time. And yes, like, to me, this is just the start of the conversation. But yes, we need to make some change.
Yeah, it's getting, the water is getting up here, okay?
Yeah.
So it's a matter of do or die now, okay? Wonderful. Have a wonderful day.
Let's do it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Let's do it.
Thanks for listening to this discussion presented by Tukatalks. If you found something in this conversation insightful, we would love for you to click the share button and send this episode to a friend.